Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to get started on episode 4 today of our reading instruction for multilingual learners and language variant learners. Today, we will be focusing on vocabulary and comprehension. Let's get started. Looking first at our agenda, we will cover some definitions and overview for both vocabulary and comprehension, and then we'll look at some modeled instruction and examples of what this may look like in the classroom, and we'll discuss some implications for multilingual learners and language variant learners specifically within that lesson. So starting off looking at vocabulary instruction, Cardenas-Hagen 2020 describes content-enriched vocabulary practices, referring to teaching content-specific vocabulary words that are primarily used in domain-related texts. So these are words that children should be able to discuss, read, and comprehend within the content that they're learning in. Even more attributed to an English language learner's academic success or struggles is vocabulary, even more so than sustained poverty or continuous inadequate school instruction. So just take a moment and let that sink in. That is truly how impactful vocabulary instruction is for English language learners, even more so than sustained poverty or prolonged inadequate school instruction. So that is I think that's a huge idea and point that proves just how impactful vocabulary instruction is. Now, vocabulary instruction, it is a subcomponent of oral language development, which we know is huge for our multilingual learners. And also knowing a word within a new vocabulary word depends on if you can use the word. So you need to know how to use it in its context and knowing it within a syntactic understanding, not just memorizing a definition. We've done that wrong for many years, but we now know that our students need to know more than just memorizing a definition, and they deserve more as well. So more words equals more that our students will know about the world around them. This makes them better prepared to discuss academic content, make connections between school and life experience, and comprehend challenging text. It's a critical role to build essential background knowledge needed to understand the text of deeper complexity. So, in order to keep progressing through the rigor of text that school provides each year, increasing every year you move up, it gets trickier. So, building that background knowledge and academic vocabulary really benefits them in the long run. Academic language refers to academic terms in school language that facilitates a deeper understanding of core curriculum. Vocabulary practice or vocabulary instruction also makes children become better problem solvers when it comes to encountering new knowledge and terminology through the ability to categorize new words and already learned words. So comprehension is the ability to understand and learn from a text. It is the overall goal of reading instruction. And we know this when we look at the simple view of reading. So we have our word recognition and language comprehension, but that ultimate product that we are always striving for, no matter where we are at in our reading instruction, is eventually reading comprehension. With that, reading comprehension is the most difficult of the 5 essential components of reading instruction. Good readers, things that they do, good comprehenders, they read quickly and accurately. They set a purpose. They preview text and make predictions. They monitor as they read and make adjustments, and then they reflect upon that. Some helpful strategies based on research include summarizing, questioning, story structure instruction, graphic and semantic organizer use, cooperative learning, and comprehension monitoring, and I hope that you will see a few of these strategies throughout my lesson today. So today, here comes our lesson. We will be focusing on summarizing a passage. So I'm going to go ahead and enter modeling mode. For this one, I might take my teacher mode off for a little bit to discuss some of the resources that I want to share in this lesson, just so that you have a clear understanding of the benefits that are within it. So, okay, students, today we'll be working on summarizing a passage. We are going to be talking about ocean animals. Who here could name a few ocean animals? Oh, wow, look at all those hands. Wonderful. I love all of your knowledge about ocean animals. Now, more specifically, we're going to talk about Ocean animals and their survival. Ooh, survival. What does that sound like? Then we would build upon the word survive. Yes, to have survival skills helps you to survive. We know the word survive means to stay alive, right? We want to keep living for these animals. We're going to start off with a concept map. Okay, so I want you to get with your assigned partner and you're going to build a map with some terms related to the ocean that you know. It could be grouping and classifying ocean animals. It could be grouping shells and different things that you may see at the ocean. Anything about the ocean that you want to include, let's go ahead and start mapping those together into categories. Now, obviously, this would be taking off my teacher mode here, this would be a skill that had already been taught before, and concept mapping would be continued to be built upon. All right, guys, we have a few words that I want us to review first. These words are going to be clickable in your text. And what that means is these words will have an underline, and you will be able to click on these words, and it will give you a definition of what that word means and helps you understand it better. Let's read these words together first and see if we have any familiarity or any remembering any parts of these words, okay? And then we would read through the words together. And this is the part that I really want to talk through because this is something that students would be used to using anyways. But they would be doing this paired text from ReadWorks, which is in my references that you can see at the end if you would like a link. It works on, so these paired texts have both a Spanish and English version. Unfortunately, I haven't seen too many other languages on there quite yet. But in the vocabulary piece, they do include Chinese and Spanish right here. So it can also read to students. It has two passages. This one in Spanish is building the background knowledge so that they can better understand the English passage about a similar topic. So it's not the same passage, it's a paired text. And this Spanish one is going to build the background knowledge that they would need to help them understand it better in English. And I love that this can read to them out loud. Both the Spanish passage and the English passage can both be read out loud to them through this website. And then, as I was saying with the vocabulary words, this is amazing. They can click on the blue words, like in this example, shell. And when they click on it, it's going to show the part of speech. It's going to say the word if they want. It's going to give a definition. Sometimes they even include a picture like this one. And then this part is so rich for our multilingual learners. It has, in Spanish, words that may mean the same. And then also Chinese, as I mentioned. But just being able to build from that and see that connection right there on the word without us having to be like, oh, let me look up what the Spanish word is. I think that's such a strong connection for them to be making while they're reading. And then lastly, it has a question set, which is all in English. But just having that piece to build the background knowledge and the vocab piece, I think, is so rich for our students who are multilingual learners or language variant learners. All right, going back into teacher mode now. Thank you for staring with me as I switch back and forth for this one this week. All right, guys, so now that you've read the passage and we've looked at some questions, I want you to retell this story to a partner. And I'm going to use my sticks and pick a few people that will get to retell it for us out loud. I want you to have a special thing in your brain, and I want you to think about the main idea. Okay, when we retell or when we summarize, we always want to make sure that we include the main idea in our summary. All right, and then after I would take a few share-outs, retelling, I would then do this as a whole group. This needs to be a gradual release because summarizing is new to them. They've just read a passage and answered questions, and they've retold. So now we build from that retell, and we make connections to it by finding some main ideas that may have been discussed and then building that summary. So students, based on the passage you read, who could tell me a main idea about the text we read? Some passages have more than one main idea, so what was the author wanting us to know based off of what we just read? Okay, so jot those down, we're doing it together, okay? All right, and now we're going to take those three main ideas and build a summary. A summary is pretty short, so it's 20 words or less. So if we were going to summarize or condense what we just read into a few words, and someone said, what did you read about? And we wanted to tell them those main points in a summary, we would take our main ideas and make it really nice and short and condensed, smaller, shorter, and be able to explain it to our whoever we're speaking to as our summary. Okay, so then this would be modeled whole group at first, like I said. So then we would go through this, and that would be the end of the lesson for that day. So, we would gradually release this, of course, and using the graphic organizer, I find it beneficial to use the same for summarizing every time. So I would have them do that maybe a we do tomorrow. Or if today, like, I could tell the responses were a little off, weren't there quite yet, that's fine. It's new. It's a difficult skill. We'll do another one tomorrow together. And then maybe we can get that point where they can do some we do and do it with a partner. And then eventually, hopefully, we could do some you do, or where we do, I do half, they do half, and then eventually get some independent practice with summarizing in once they're ready. But that's why it's that gradual release. It's not immediate and it takes time. So our implications for vocabulary and instruction. Word learning strategies allow students to make educated guesses about a word's meaning using their metacognitive awareness. The concept map focuses students on key points, so using words they already knew. I also wanted to build background knowledge with that part, so it was using vocabulary that they already know. It's also a good confidence builder. They know these things, and it's words that they know, and they get to pick them, and they're grouping them. I find that to be really helpful for my multilingual learners. Another thing that could be helpful is cognates, if you have any similar words, which the ReadWorks platform provided this connecting words for me. And then, of course, the transfer foundation. So you want to build on the native language, and you want that vocabulary knowledge before reading. So getting it in both languages before you read. So going through and having them click those words first. And you want that deep processing for learners, semantic feature analysis, connected and disconnected words. So you really want them to build that vocabulary in a deep way and really connecting with the words from their native language, which we were able to include through an online platform in this lesson, which is really cool. For comprehension instruction, it's important to preview the text together, make predictions. We were talking about, what do you know about the ocean? What do you think survival may be? Why would they need help surviving? And building on this and having these rich conversations. And then also having some scaffolds for story retell. So when I do that retell, including things like what, how, where, and they're having to answer these questions as they retell. And then huge for summarizing, we want those graphic organizers that I included. And like I said, it's fun to switch those up, and there's really cute ways you can do hamburgers or whatever and make an anchor chart. But I find for myself that keeping it consistent with these graphic organizers really helps students apply the concepts that they are learning. A few key takeaways. We want to build vocabulary intentionally taught, build on and connect with native language as often as we can, and then be equipped for reading comprehension instruction because it is heavy and it's difficult. So just have that skill set and those strategies that I mentioned earlier that were research based. Be ready for it and know those strategies so that we can help our students in understanding that it takes time to reach reading comprehension. You're not just going to do a few graphic organizers and, they can summarize. It takes time, and comprehension is a whole other beast because you can't really see it as clearly. You really have to dig in to find where a student is at in their comprehension. So just encouragement to all of you teaching reading comprehension, and especially for multilingual learners, there are strategies out there and they will work. They may take time, but give yourself grace and give your students grace. And the fact that you're watching this can attest to how much you care about their learning. So thank you for being here today and listening. And here is my references. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining. Bye.